In Guizhou, 4 young people went on an adventure to explore a mountain cave. However, less than 3 minutes after entering, a faint cry for help echoed from deep within. The sudden sound startled them, and all 4 immediately turned and ran out of the cave. At first, they thought it might have been an animal or something else making noise. But once they calmed down, they realized it did sound eerily human. What if someone was truly in danger inside? Driven by both unease and a sense of responsibility, 2 of the young men decided to re-enter the dark, eerie cave. Inside, it was hauntingly silent. They cautiously moved deeper, calling out, "Is anyone there?" but received no response. The only sounds were their own footsteps and the drip of water from stalactites. At the second bend of the cave, they suddenly discovered a frail, almost skin and bones woman lying unconscious on the cold stone floor. She was in critical condition. So who was this girl? And why was she alone in such a dark cave? The story traces back 42 days earlier. On May 2, 1998, in Wudang District, Guiyang City, when 3 girls and 1 boy set out together to explore Baihu Cave, a remote and undeveloped karst cave rarely visited. Upon arrival, one of the girls, Qingzhu, appeared particularly nervous when facing the dark, deep cave. She suggested they just stay near the entrance, saying it was too dark and she didn't want to go inside. But the boy, Xiao Wang, encouraged them, saying, "We're already here, it'd be a shame not to go in. Don't worry, I'll lead the way." Motivated by his words, all 4 stepped into the cave. Xiao Wang lit a candle from his bag using matches. With the faint light and their curiosity, they went deeper and deeper. Soon, they heard the sound of flowing water ahead and suspected it was an underground river, which excited them even more. Xiao Wang had come well prepared. He used chalk to mark the walls in case they got lost. They soon reached a spacious chamber with freezing cold river water running through it, surrounded by spectacular and uniquely shaped stalactites. After a short break, they pressed on. As they went deeper, Qingzhu began to feel that the cave was getting increasingly cold and damp. She again suggested they turn back. To reassure them, Xiao Wang lit another candle, hoping to provide both warmth and more light. But at that moment, an accident occurred. While trying to light the second candle from the first, both were accidentally extinguished. Darkness engulfed them instantly. Xiao Wang tried to relight them with matches, only to realize the matchbox had gotten wet near the river. They were too damp to ignite. In total darkness, where they couldn't even see their own hands, fear and panic quickly replaced their earlier excitement. Arguments and blame followed. Once they calmed down, they decided to hold hands and slowly retrace their steps from memory. But the ground was slippery and uneven, full of potholes, making it incredibly difficult to move. After a while, they realized their progress was too slow to be viable. Xiao Wang attempted again to light the matches, but they still wouldn't catch. At this point, one girl broke down crying uncontrollably, and her emotions quickly spread to the others. Soon, all 3 girls were sobbing. After the crying subsided, Xiao Wang led them forward again, stumbling and groping their way through the darkness. Time became meaningless. When hungry, they ate the snacks they had brought, but they failed to realize they might not escape anytime soon. So they consumed all their limited food in one go. Perhaps they hoped the matches would dry over time and be usable again. But the humidity inside the cave was too high, and with poor ventilation, the chemical coating on the matches likely became permanently compromised. Even after attempting to dry them out, the matches remained useless. Still, they tried lighting them every day, hoping for a miracle, but to no avail. In the days that followed, they survived by drinking pooled water on the ground and drops from stalactites. One day, a piercing scream shattered the silence. The girl walking at the back accidentally fell into a pit about 5 meters deep. Xiao Wang tried to rescue her with a belt, but in complete darkness, he couldn't determine the depth of the pit or her condition. After several failed attempts, they had no choice but to give up. The 3 remaining waited for a response, but when none came, they moved on. Over time, their strength waned to the point that they could no longer walk. They crawled slowly along the floor. Days later, Qingzhu noticed Xiao Wang had collapsed. At first, she thought he was just resting from exhaustion, so she and the other girl lay down beside him. But after a long time, she realized he wasn't responding. Xiao Wang had passed away. The two remaining girls supported each other and struggled forward. Eventually, the other girl also collapsed, never to get up again. Li Qingzhu shook her but got no response. Alone, she leaned against a rock, wanting to cry, but she no longer had tears left. Watching her companions die one by one, thoughts of giving up constantly haunted her, but she knew better than anyone that her only chance was to grit her teeth and hang on. Finally, one day, Li Qingzhu vaguely saw a flickering light and heard voices. It clearly wasn't a hallucination. She used her last strength to cry out, "Help me," before losing consciousness. This was the moment mentioned at the beginning. The two young men quickly called for help. Li Qingzhu was rushed to the hospital. Shortly after, the rescue team found another girl nearby. She still had weak vital signs but unfortunately passed away later that same day. The team continued deeper and found Xiao Wang's decomposed body, and later recovered the girl who had fallen into the pit. That day, 3 deaths were confirmed. Tragically, Li Qingzhu also died 3 days later from organ failure. A later investigation found that Baihu Cave was only about 100 meters long with 8 chambers. If explored at a normal pace, the entire cave could be traversed in about 20 minutes. In fact, they had only made it to the 3rd chamber. After their candles went out, they tried to return from there in the dark but, due to the intense blackness, kept wandering in circles around the 3rd chamber, missing the exit over and over again. It's hard to imagine how a person could survive for 42 days in total darkness and dampness with no food. Relying only on water, it was a test of physical and mental endurance beyond comprehension.